Are your thoughts dimming your sacred aura? Discover the 3 miraculous ways to reveal divine light. In the heart of a quaint English town, nestled between cobblestone streets and flower-laden cottages, lived Sarah, a devoted mother known for her vibrant faith. The sun illuminated her family home while laughter echoed through the halls. But with one sudden and tragic event, darkness swept into Sarah's life, stealing her light and casting her into the depths of despair. Her once shining aura became overshadowed by waves of grief, and the very church that had once been her sanctuary now felt like a cold, empty space, amplifying her isolation as whispers of concern arose within the community. The weight of loss pushed Sarah further into the shadows. She sought solace from Pastor Matthew, a gentle guide revered for his wisdom. He spoke with compassion, introducing her to 3 miraculous pathways to rekindle her spirit: fervent prayer, the transformative power of forgiveness, and the beauty of acts of kindness. Each recommendation rang with promise, but doubt wrapped itself tightly around her heart, leaving her feeling more lost than ever. Each day, Sarah trudged through her attempts to embrace these practices. As she prayed, the words felt hollow, bouncing off the walls of her doubt. Yet, it was in the simple gestures of her church community, kind notes, warm embraces, and shared meals that she felt flickers of hope. Still, fear loomed large, and uncertainty was a fog she couldn't shake. One particularly harrowing night, whilst perched on her bed, tears streaming, cheeks warm, she caught a fleeting vision. It was her family, gathered together in fervent prayer, their faces glowing with a divine light, and within that moment, a flicker of warmth ignited within her weary heart. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With newfound determination, she gathered her family one evening. The air crackled with anticipation as they clasped hands, the warmth of their unity enveloping them. Sarah poured out her heart to God, vulnerable and trembling, and as her voice broke in prayer, the room filled with a sensation of divine presence, a soft glow like the dawn peeking through the tenebrous clouds of doubt. In that sacred moment, miracles unfolded amidst their prayers, weaving through the fabric of their collective faith. To her astonishment, in that instant, an overwhelming wave of peace cascaded through the home, filling each corner with the scent of blooming blossoms. A powerful healing occurred not just within Sarah but in the depths of her family's spirit. The shadows of grief receded, replaced with resilience and light that illuminated their once dimmed lives. The church buzzed with chatter and awe of what they witnessed. Sarah's transformation sparked a flame of renewed faith, a revival within the community, compelling many to seek the miraculous paths she had discovered. Yet, as she stood amidst her husband and children, reflecting on their reconnection with divine light, the question loomed. What did this miracle mean for her purpose moving forward? Would her doubts stifle the brilliance of her rebuilt aura? As they embraced, shadows of uncertainty danced around her, leaving her longing to uncover what awaited. The journey was just beginning. With the dawn of a new day, Sarah awoke with a heart still trembling from the miraculous night before. Sunlight streamed through her window, bathing her bedroom in warm, golden hues. It felt like a blessing, a gentle reminder that light could pierce through darkness. As she rose, a sense of gratitude bubbled up inside her, gratitude for the love of her family, the support of her church, and the whispers of faith that began to stir within her again. In the quiet of the morning, she sat at the kitchen table, her hands wrapped around a steaming cup of tea. The aroma was comforting, a soft embrace calling her to reflect on the shift she felt. Was it the warmth of the drink or something deeper? Perhaps the awakening of her spirit, ignited by shared prayer. As she took a sip, a thought occurred to her, illuminating her mind. Faith, she realized, was not just a solitary act. It demanded community, connection, and the courage to share burdens. Eager to explore this revelation further, Sarah decided to plan a gathering at the church. She imagined inviting her fellow congregation members to a night of prayer and sharing. They could open their hearts, recount stories of grief and hope, and illuminate each other's lives with their experiences. What if their collective light could cast away the shadows that often crept into their hearts? Sarah felt buoyed by this thought, as if a gentle hand were guiding her toward action as the day unfolded. She found herself poring over details, handwritten invitations, special arrangements for the church hall, and a simple menu of soup and bread. The excitement swept through her, each task fueled by a newfound purpose. It felt like stepping into the light, away from doubts and fears. Yet, as she sat with her family later that evening, a question nagged at her. Would they come? Would her community embrace the gathering she dreamed of? Or would it fizzle like the last fleeting rays of sunset? As night fell, Sarah's heart raced with anticipation. She arrived at the church early, arranging the chairs to create a warm, inviting space. With every person who walked through the door, her heart soared. They came, not just in body but in spirit, each soul bringing a piece of their own light, stories to share, burdens to release. Soon, laughter and conversation mingled with the aroma of the soup bubbling in the kitchen, creating an ambience of warmth and connection. When the time came to pray, Sarah stood before the gathered crowd. She felt a power surging within her, a divine energy she had never experienced before. As she spoke, her voice echoed with conviction. Let us share our stories. Let us lift each other to the light. Her words pierced through the air, igniting a fire of hope as others began to share their own tales of darkness, transformed by faith and resilience. Each revelation built upon the last, creating a tapestry of strength and unity woven with love. But as they prayed together, lifting each other up, Sarah felt a tug in her spirit, a whisper reminding her that the journey of faith is not without trials. Would they be able to sustain this connection? Would the light they rekindled last through the days ahead when the shadows might return? As the evening wore on, questions lingered in the air, blending with the sweet smells of faith, love, and togetherness. The magic of community surrounded them, yet deep within, Sarah felt a quiet uncertainty. What awaited them as they stepped back into the world? Would their newly kindled flame endure, or would the inevitable tests of life dim their light again? And with that thought, her heart whispered a beckoning for her to seek further. What was the next step on this sacred path? There was more to uncover, more transformation waiting just beyond the horizon. The sun peeked through the stained glass windows of the church, casting vibrant colors across the gathered community. As they shared their heartfelt stories and prayers, a palpable excitement filled the air. It was a holy moment, almost tangible, as if the very essence of God was sweeping through their midst. Sarah looked around, her heart swelling with gratitude. Each face was alive with hope, each voice a testament to their intertwined journeys. But still, beneath the joy, a faint tremor pulsed within her. Could this vibrant community endure the trials life would inevitably present? She could already see the glimmers of doubt in some eyes, the flicker of weariness. She rushed to reassure herself, recalling moments when her faith had been tested, when she felt alone. As the gathering progressed, a woman named Clara stood up, her voice shaking. Last year was hard for me. I lost my job, my home. I thought it was the end. A hushed silence filled the room. Sarah felt a worry wash over her. They needed to support Clara, but would they know how? Clara continued, but when I leaned into my community, it felt like I was lifted. Each of you, even in small ways, brought light back to my heart. I realized God never left me in the darkness. A ripple of soft murmurs followed her words, echoing with agreement and understanding. People were remembering their own dark nights, their own struggles. It was as if others began to piece out their own stories, weaving their pain into hope alongside Clara's truth. In that moment, Sarah saw a wondrous sight. It was like watching a flame grow stronger with every additional spark. The room pulsed with energy, love igniting the shadows that once cast doubt over their hearts. But with the warmth also came a realization that their unity would require action, a shared commitment to hold one another firm in times of testing. As prayers circled anew, Sarah felt a surge within her spirit. What if we become the light bearers for each other, truly supporting one another, not just in words but in actions? She spoke, encouraged by the fire of testimonies. A man named David nodded, his eyes glistening. What if we set up a support system, a way to follow through? A collective amen filled the church, igniting the air like a chorus of angels. Ideas began to flow like a river meal trains for those in need. Prayer partners committed to lifting each other. Gatherings not just for sharing burdens but celebrating triumphs. Each suggestion added more fuel to the growing flame, each voice echoing a promise to not let each other face life alone. As they closed in prayer, Sarah closed her eyes, but rather than quieting her thoughts, they surged a storm of wonder and fear. They had created something beautiful, yet the shadows still lingered. A thought pierced her determination. What if we falter? What if the shadows of life's trials dim our light? Just then, she felt a warm hand on her shoulder. It was Clara. Together, Clara whispered, "Together we're stronger. Don't doubt." The reassurance glimmered like a reminder of the dawn. As they stepped out of the church that night, Sarah lingered for a moment, looking back to the glowing windows. The shadows of doubt whispered, but she chose to hold tight to the light. What awaited them as they courageously ventured into the world, determined to uphold each other? Would their commitment endure, or would outside darkness threaten to smother the light they had ignited? A stirring within her heart awakened a new question: what would it take to keep their divine flame alive? As the days grew longer and the sun warmed the earth, so too did the resolve of the community strengthen. Sarah watched as they embraced their mission, hands reaching out in kindness, hearts open wide in understanding. The church had transformed into a hub of love and support, vibrant and alive with laughter, even in the midst of life's often chaotic rhythms. Meeting after meeting brought a deeper connection among them. They began to gather not just to share shadows but to celebrate the brightness that flickered within each other. Clara was a beacon of hope, rallying others into action. "Let us plan a community picnic," she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. "We can gather everyone, share a meal, strengthen our bonds, remind each other of the light in our lives." There was no debate, only a chorus of agreement. Sarah felt a warmth wash over her. This was the kind of community she had envisioned, the kind where every soul mattered. But amidst the growing joy, she again felt a twinge of worry. Would it hold? Would they truly remain steadfast in these commitments when dark moments crept back in? The day of the picnic arrived. The sun shone brightly, and laughter danced in the air like a sweet melody. Tables were laden with homemade dishes that reflected the diversity and love of those who had prepared them. Children played, their shrieks of delight a reminder of innocence and joy. As Sarah wandered through the gathered crowd, she felt her heart expand. It was truly a picture of heaven, neighborhood faces she cherished, united in purpose, standing hand in hand under a radiant sky. Yet, even in the vibrant celebration, Sarah overheard a quiet conversation between two women. "I want to help Clara and others," one mentioned, her voice wavering. "But what if I'm not enough? What if my support isn't enough to lift their burdens?" At that moment, Sarah approached them. "Your heart is enough," she said gently, her voice steady. "Each act of kindness, no matter how small, is a reflection of God's love. We all add our light, and together it shines brighter." The warmth in her words ignited a spark of understanding in their eyes, a reminder that every effort, every moment of encouragement was precious. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the gathering, Sarah lifted her voice. "Let us remember, we are called to be each other's strength. When one falls, we rise together. It's not always easy, but we have each other. We have God." Her voice echoed with a passion that moved everyone, as cheers erupted around her. Yet, that unease lingered in her heart. In the midst of so much joy, what if the weather turned? What if storms threatened the peace they had cultivated? She couldn't help but ponder the shadows lurking just outside their solidarity. But Clara seemed to sense Sarah's turmoil. "You know," she said softly, setting her hand on Sarah's forearm, "it's okay to be afraid. Faith is not the absence of fear. It's choosing to believe in hope despite it." We'll face whatever comes, side by side. Sarah felt tears well up. Could this be their truth? Would it be enough to face life's uncertainties together? As the stars twinkled above, she considered a feeling rising within her, a brave belief that each challenge ahead could serve not just to test them, but also shape them into unshakable pillars of light. The night closed in, revealing an unexpected question that hung on Sarah's heart. What if life's trials were not only meant to challenge them but to deepen their faith and connection? What lay ahead was a mystery that beckoned her, and she felt the urge to step into it, to seek divine answers revealing the strength they were yet to discover. As the new day dawned, a soft, golden light spilled across the village. Sarah awoke with a renewed sense of determination, her heart anchored by the bonds forged at the picnic. Yet, as bright as the sun was shining outside, her mind caught glimpses of the concerns from the night before. With a deep breath, she descended the stairs of her home, feeling the familiar wooden steps beneath her feet. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee wafted through the air, mixing with the sweetness of baked goods Clara had prepared. Heartwarming and familiar, this was the rhythm of their community, the sacred pulse that brought them all together. "Good morning, Sarah," Clara greeted, her smile radiant. "I was just thinking about the next steps we should take. We can't let this energy fade, can we?" "No, we can't," Sarah replied. "But what if something comes up? What if we falter?" Clara paused, her brow furrowed for a moment. "Remember, it's okay to be scared," she reassured. "Just look at how far we've come." Each smile exchanged, each story shared, it's all part of building our resilience. Sarah nodded, encouraged by Clara's unwavering strength. Together, they agreed to reach out to every member of the community, to remind them they were not alone nor abandoned. There were strengths hidden within each one, waiting to be discovered. That very afternoon, as they walked through the streets handing out invitations for another gathering, a healing service intended to address the struggles that some had mentioned during the picnic, Sarah began to see something beautiful unfold. "Look at them," she exclaimed, pointing to a group of neighbors, coming together on their own, sharing laughter over a shared meal. "They're already doing it." The moment felt almost sacred, a divine orchestration of fellowship and love. They exchanged heartfelt greetings, bringing warmth to their exchanges, planting seeds of hope. "Let us inspire them," Sarah suggested, inspired by the camaraderie blooming before her. "We can hold workshops, teach each other how to share burdens, and create joy together." Clara agreed enthusiastically. "Yes, and we can have times of reflection. Everyone has stories that can heal." As they shared their visions, the energy around them shifted. Sarah wondered, was this what faith looked like? The kind that pushed through uncertainty and darkness with shared purpose? Felt as if a weight was lifting, allowing space for growth. In the following weeks, what began as small gatherings transformed into a tapestry of connection, woven by threads of compassion and prayer. Each session drew more people, their hearts steadily opening amidst the shared remembering of lights that had dimmed. It didn't matter how much light each person had. It was about collectively shining brighter. However, shadows of doubt crept in every now and then. What if they got tired? What if difficulties struck again? One late evening, after a particularly spirited gathering, Sarah sat alone, grappling with her feelings. The heaviness echoed in her heart like an unanswered prayer. That night, as she turned to her Bible, a passage flickered to life. "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." The words felt luminous, wrapping around her soul like a warm blanket. Her heart stirred, a revelation sparked. Life was a dance of shadows and light. Maybe it was in the very act of facing fear and lifting each other that they would find divine strength. This was not merely about avoiding darkness, but about transforming it. With renewed vigor, Sarah whispered a prayer, asking for clarity and courage. As fatigue washed over her, she felt inexplicably peaceful. But just as she closed her eyes, a thought rushed in: who would help them through the moments when shared light falters? What could possibly fill that void? Uncertainty lingered, and Sarah felt a swirl of excitement and trepidation. Perhaps the next chapter awaited, filled with revelations that would deepen their faith and shape the collective strength. She couldn't shake the feeling that the divine was calling them toward greater purpose. What awaited on the horizon would indeed challenge them, but it could also illuminate their path forward. Would they be ready to embrace the journey together? The sun rose the next morning, casting a serene glow over the village. But for Sarah, anticipation brewed inside her. Today felt different, special. It was the day of their first workshop and healing service, deliberately designed to rekindle the light in their hearts. She poured herself a cup of coffee, took a deep breath, and let the warmth embrace her as she stepped outside. Clara was waiting for her, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Are you ready, Sarah? Today we share our light." "Yes, I am," Sarah replied, a smile breaking across her face. But deep down, a whisper of doubt curled like mist. What if things didn't unfold as they hoped? What if no one showed up? Clara seemed to sense her worry. "Remember what we learned. Each step forward is in faith. We are bringing something sacred. God is with us in this." The two walked together, distributing flyers and inviting others to gather. They soon noticed familiar faces lighting up at the thought of coming together. Laughter floated in the air, punctuated by heartfelt stories. It was impossible to deny the tide of community spirit was rising as they arrived at the meeting place. Sarah's heart raced. The room, adorned with soft lights, felt welcoming. In the corner, some children drew pictures while others set up chairs with eager hands. The atmosphere vibrated with expectancy. This was a moment not just for them, but for everyone. One by one, members of the community trickled in. There was James, who had shared his grief over losing his beloved pet, and Mary, who battled her own shadows of loneliness. An influx of warmth filled the space as they exchanged greetings. Sarah took a deep breath. It was time. Standing before them, she silently sent a prayer to heaven. "Lord, let your light shine through us today." She felt Clara's hand squeeze her arm in encouragement as Sarah spoke. She felt the warmth of the gathered hearts and open souls. She shared her journey, how the weight of fear transformed into support and love. Each story breathed life into the atmosphere. "Together we walk in faith. Together we rise," Clara added passionately, her voice ringing with conviction. The air crackled with energy. But even amidst the laughter and connection, Sarah noticed lingering hesitations in some. A shadow of doubt clouded a few faces as they shared their burdens. Wasn't it easier to carry pain alone? To bridge this, they introduced a simple yet powerful activity. "Let us each take a moment to light a candle," Sarah suggested. "As we do, let us share a hope or a prayer, something we want to release into the light." One by one, candles flickered to life, illuminating the room. A sense of reverence enveloped the participants. As stories of heartache transformed into prayer, the joy of release filled the air. But just as laughter rang out, serious prayers stirred deep within. Someone hesitated to share their pain. The atmosphere shifted. A vestige of vulnerability hung in the silence. It felt like facing the valley, an uncharted territory of dread. "It's okay to be afraid," Sarah whispered, the vulnerability palpable. "But together we can face those fears. We might stumble, but our path is not alone. God is here among us." As the last candle was lit, peace descended like a warm blanket. Sarah felt tears spring to her eyes, a testimony of hope. This was the beauty of community, a sacred gathering where every light counted. But as they concluded, a creeping thought nagged at Sarah's mind. What would come of this gathering when they returned to their daily lives? Could the light they ignited here endure when faced with life's storms? The flickering candles drew her attention back, each one holding a story, a prayer, a flicker of hope. They had built something sacred, but could it withstand the trials ahead? With the sun starting to set beyond the horizon, she realized they were just beginning their journey. What awaited them in the days to come would test their resolve and show them the depths of divine light yet to be discovered. Would they find strength in each other to face whatever was next? As the candles flickered softly in the dimming light, Sarah felt a quiet, profound silence settle over the room. Everyone was lost in thought, reflecting on the hopes they had shared. The shadows seemed to whisper their fears, Yet the glow of the candles sparked a sense of peace that held them together. Then, from across the room, Mary stood up. She had watched the others share their burdens but had stayed quiet, holding her heaviness close. Gathering her courage, she stepped forward, her voice gentle but firm. "I've been battling my loneliness for so long. It feels like a dark cloak wrapping around me. Even in a crowd, I feel lost. But today, I want to let go of that burden." Everyone listened, their hearts open. Mary squeezed the candle she had lit, a beacon of her intention. "I'm ready to step into the light, even if it means facing the unknown." A soft murmur of encouragement rippled through the group. As she continued, Sarah noticed how everyone leaned in, eyes filled with understanding. They had each faced moments when shadows threatened to overtake them. This was about more than just sharing. It was about connecting in raw honesty. "Thank you, Mary," Clara exclaimed, her voice warm with appreciation. "You sharing this just lit a fire in all of us. Together, we can break those shadows." With that, more voices joined in, sharing stories of struggles but also of small victories. James spoke of a day he felt the gentle touch of joy after his loss, while Clara shared about her moments of doubt that had led to deep self-discovery. As they spoke, Sarah felt the collective energy shift. It was as if each story lifted the weight of another weaving a tapestry of strength. Their togetherness became a radiant force, a glimpse of what community truly meant. Later, Sarah introduced a new activity. "Let us create a circle holding hands. As we close our eyes, let us breathe in deeply and visualize the light we've ignited not just here, but in our hearts. Let it fill us, spreading warmth. Let us pray for the courage to carry this light into our lives." They formed a circle, clasping hands firmly. The room was steeped in silence, only the sound of their breaths filling the space. In that shared moment, Sarah felt a surge of divine presence beyond what she could articulate. It felt like a glow radiating not just from them but enveloping them, a beautiful unity. But within that sacred moment, a sense of foreboding crept into Sarah's heart. Would this moment, this palpable peace, remain when life resumed its usual pace? What if the light they had cultivated dimmed under the weight of reality? As they slowly opened their eyes, the familiar comfort of each other's presence was reassuring, but the question lingered. Would they cling to the light they found when faced with life's trials? And just as that thought hung heavy, a young girl from the far corner, who had been quietly drawing, spoke up. Her sweet voice broke the tension. "My mommy says that even on the darkest day, the stars still shine. We just have to look for them." Tears stung Sarah's eyes. The wisdom of a child, simple yet profound, seemed to encapsulate everything they were trying to achieve. "Indeed," Sarah offered, her heart swelling, "we will carry our stars wherever we go, and they will guide us through the dark." With newfound determination, smiles began to spread across their faces. They felt emboldened by each other, ready to carry the light they had ignited that afternoon. Yet, as the evening drew to a close, Sarah couldn't shake the nagging feeling inside her. How could they sustain the warmth of their gathering in a world that often felt cold? What awaited them as they returned to their routines, faced with skepticism and struggles? As they extinguished the candles, Sarah wondered, how would they transform their community into a sanctuary, even amidst life's storms? As they dimmed the last flicker of the candlelight, a warm murmur filled the air. Each face glowed not just with melting wax but with a new resolve. They had shared a moment of deep connection, yet the uncertainties of tomorrow beckoned. Sarah looked around, seeking the eyes of her friends. They were still grasping hands, an invisible thread of unity holding them together. "What if we turned our fears into something more?" she suggested softly. "What if each of us chose to be a beacon in our own worlds?" A wave of inspired chatter washed over the group. Clara nodded, her eyes bright. "Yes, maybe we can create little reminders for each other. Tokens we carry to remind us of tonight." James chimed in. "Like stones in our pockets, or poems to read when we're feeling low. Something to ground us. We could even make a plan, meet up regularly just to check in." The suggestions flew around the circle like leaves in a gentle breeze. Sarah felt her heart lift. In unity, it seemed their burdens would become lighter, their fears less daunting, yet, amidst the excitement, a deeper truth stirred within her. Would these reminders hold the same weight when trials knocked at their doors? Could simple tokens fight the shadows that often creeped in when life moved too fast? I love these ideas, she said, her voice steady, but let us not forget that the true strength lies within us. We need to cultivate a habit of connection not just with one another, but within ourselves too. Every day we can light our own flame. The group nodded in understanding, but an air of uncertainty hovered. What would that look like in their daily lives? When faced with the small annoyances and larger struggles, would they remember to seek their inner light? Let us promise to hold each other accountable, Clara suggested. Absolutely. A simple message or call to check in. A reminder that we're not alone on this journey, James added, affirming the idea. Here, Sarah felt the stirrings of hope thrive among them. They could build a community founded not just on shared burdens but on lifting spirits too. It felt exhilarating, yet the thought echoed back to the challenges they faced. As they dispersed, clutching the small tokens of intention they would carry with them, Sarah remained rooted in place for a moment longer. She took a deep breath, allowing the warmth of their gathering to settle into her heart. With a gentle smile, she watched the last of the group leave. Yet her mind raced with possibilities. She could already envision moments of joy and trials, laughter and tears. A small sigh escaped her lips. A breeze rustled through the room, slightly flickering the remaining candle stubs. It was as if the presence they had felt earlier was still lingering, whispering encouragement. The world outside was vast and often unpredictable. Yet here, in this sanctuary they had built, she held a glimmer of divine hope. But then came the nagging question again. Would they truly remain committed in moments of darkness? Would they withstand the wave of doubt that often followed the light? As she turned to leave, a soft rustle caught her attention, a note caught on the wind, drifting slowly to her feet. Bending down, she picked it up and read the simple, profound message. Even when storms rage, a well-tended garden flourishes. What did that mean for them as individuals and as a community? The weight of purpose began to settle in her heart as she stepped out into the cool night air, stars twinkling overhead. Choosing to flourish would require work, a dedication to light even when shadows threatened. The path stretched ahead, filled with wonders and uncertainties. Sarah felt the pulse of possibility thrumming beneath her skin. Would they rise together, embrace the challenges, and inspire one another to shine even brighter? As she walked away, a single question resonated deeply within her. Would they nurture the garden of their souls to bloom brightly, even in the darkest seasons? And just like that, with every step forward, she felt the weight of that divine mystery drawing her onward. As Sarah continued down the winding path home, her mind teemed with thoughts. The night air was crisp, filled with the scent of earth and dew. Each step reverberated with the promise of new beginnings. Yet, her earlier concerns lingered like shadows at the edge of her consciousness. What if they faltered? What if the doubts crept in like unwelcome guests, shrouding their newfound resolve? She had seen it too often, a flicker of hope extinguished by the weight of life's challenges. Could they truly cultivate a garden that flourished, even amid adversity? Beneath the tranquil sky, a whispered petition soared from her heart. Lord, grant us strength. Help us remember the light. It felt as if the stars winked in agreement, twinkling with a divine reassurance. Later that week, they gathered again, a small, warm circle that had not only exchanged tokens, but also woven each thread of their hearts closer together. The small room was alive with chatter and laughter, a melodic harmony that spoke of community. Sarah looked around and found herself in a sea of familiar faces, all emboldened by their shared purpose. Clara began, her hands gesturing animatedly. Let us share stories today. Moments when we felt the light within us dimmed, and how we managed to reignite that flame. James nodded. Yes, we always have battles, but what's most important is how we fight them. As they took turns sharing, each story unfolded like blossoms in spring, revealing the struggles that were once hidden. One by one, they spoke of anguish, fear, and uncertainty. But beyond each tale of woe shone glimmers of transformation. I was consumed by doubt when I lost my job, Clara said, her voice thick with remembrance. But I turned to Scripture, and those words, especially the promise of God's plans for us, pulled me back. It was like a light in the dark. Others chimed in, offering similar reflections, moments of despair that brought them to their knees only to find themselves renewed through prayer, the kindness of friends, and small acts of faith. The power of shared experience weaved a thicker tapestry, bringing unity in vulnerability. Sarah felt the warmth bloom in her chest as she listened. Each tale was a reminder of their flourishing garden, each soul a sacred seed waiting for nourishment. It's astonishing how our light shines through the cracks, she stated, her gaze steady. That's it, James exclaimed, just like the moon reflecting the sun's light. We shine because of something greater than ourselves. For a moment, silence enveloped them, charged with revelation. They were not just friends. They were vessels of divine light, reflections of hope. The air thickened with a profound assurance that they could face life's tempests together. As they shared their tokens once more, Sarah felt their spirits lift. It was clear the true tokens lay not in tangible items, but in the sacred stories they carried, a connection rooted in faith and trust. She believed they could become living reminders of love in each other's lives. But amidst the smiles, a question lingered in the air. Would the light remain bright when faced with a sudden storm? While thoughts danced in her mind, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that their greatest challenges were yet to come. Just then, unexpected laughter burst forth from a corner of the room. Clara playfully tossed a beanbag at James, who dramatically pretended to fall. For that brief moment, joy erupted, sparking a deep and sweet reminder. Perhaps it was in these simple acts of love and levity that they would truly find their strength. With renewed determination, Sarah declared, "Let us promise to not just nurture our light, but also share it. Together, let us seek moments of joy and peace, even in the chaos." The spirit of the night enveloped them, like a blanket of stars, guiding them toward a brighter path. They had ventured into the mystery of their journey, reveling in the simplicity of each moment. As they wrapped up, Sarah's heart was full. Yet, deep inside, she sensed an unknowing horizon waiting. What awaited them in their journey? As she stepped into the cool night, a thought floated in her heart. Could joy truly become their greatest defense against the storms of life? The moonlight beckoned like a lantern, as if urging her to follow where it led next. Days turned into weeks, and the sun shone down warm and inviting, but Sarah felt the tension within her grow. The community had found a rhythm, a heartbeat of connection. Stories were shared, and laughter rekindled, but beneath the surface, shadows still lurked. They were on a path of divine love, yet uncertainty loomed ever closer. Would they sustain this energy when life's storms began to batter at their doors? One crisp morning, Sarah gathered the community once more, this time in the open space of a park, surrounded by blooming flowers and vibrant trees. The scene sang with life, an echo of divine possibilities. Yet her heart raced with trepidation. What if today reveals our vulnerabilities? As they arrived, smiles danced in the air like butterflies. Clara took Sarah's hand, squeezing it gently. "Remember, it's okay to feel unsure. We are here together." Her words echoed wisdom, binding them with a simple truth. As they settled into a circle, Sarah looked into each face, feeling the unseen ties that connected them. "Today, let us share how we weather the storms. What do we cling to when life feels overwhelming?" She began, her voice steady yet reverberating with emotion. She knew this day mattered. It was a chance to cultivate their collective strength. One by one, they shared their struggles. A woman named Grace spoke of her recent bout with illness, the pain both physical and emotional swallowing her spirit. "But you know," she said, her eyes bright with remembrance, "it was the kindness of this community that pulled me back. Each letter, each prayer, they reminded me of my light." Applause erupted, resonating through the park, echoing against the rustling leaves. Then James, his face earnest, shared how losing his mother had nearly cast him into despair. Yet the light he found through prayer and support inspired him. Feeling your presence kept me afloat. I couldn't drown when I had a life raft of love around me. The atmosphere shifted. Warmth bubbled and surged, igniting a wave of unity. Then came Clara, her voice trembling yet strong. Every time I felt like giving up, I remembered a time spent laughing with all of you. It reminded me of Goddess' unstoppable light, even in darkness. The sincerity in her words drew nods of understanding, and tears glistened in the corners of many eyes as they continued to share. A divine chorus of voices rose. Each story became a thread woven into their collective fabric. And amidst the ebb and flow, Sarah felt a wave of joy pulse at her heart, a reminder that they were more than just a group. They were a vibrant body of family strengthened by faith. But just then, an unexpected hush fell over the circle as a ripple of unease traveled through them. A newcomer, a timid man named Tom, hesitated before speaking. "I've been silent because I don't think I belong here. My shadows seem too heavy." The honesty of his admission pierced the gathering like a sacred arrow. But Sarah stepped closer, her gaze unwavering. "Tom, we all have shadows. Do you see how the light shines through the cracks? We need those honest moments to grow. Sharing our burdens is how we strengthen our souls." A heavy pause enveloped the group as they sensed the gravity of his burden. "You are not alone," Clara exclaimed, reaffirming the truth. "There's light in our vulnerability." And with that, something incredible happened. Everyone leaned in. They began to share not just burdens, but love, intentions, and reassurances like tender roots reaching deeper into nurturing soil. The light embraced Tom, a tangible warmth wrapping around him like a blanket stitched from their combined faith. In that powerful moment, Sarah saw a miracle unfold. Their fears transformed into hope, and burdens evolved into blessings. She felt tears streaming down her face, a testament to the beauty that could arise from honesty and connection. "We are all navigating dark waters. Don't forget we boat together." As the gathering drew to a close, the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting a brilliant glow through the trees, light filtering softly through leaves. Each member left not just carrying tokens of encouragement but newfound strength, a promise to uplift one another even in times of testing. Now, despite the uncertainty of the days ahead, Sarah's heart felt anchored. As she watched her friends walk away, a spark of realization ignited within her. It wasn't about dodging storms. It was about embracing them, knowing they could weather anything together. In the days that followed, life continued in ebbs and flows, but the community stood resolute. Each time shadows threatened to creep back in, they remembered the power of their collective commitment to light. Together, they found ways to celebrate victories, big or small, a child's laughter, an answered prayer, joy shared over a meal together. And as Sarah awoke one morning, reflecting on their shared journey, she felt an unwavering sense of peace. No matter what challenges awaited, they had woven themselves into a tapestry of love, belonging, and resilience. As she raised her prayer to the heavens, she felt the divine presence embrace her. "Thank you, Lord, for the light we share." The path stretched ahead, and Sarah understood life would always test their resolve. Yet together, armed with faith and love, they would not just survive. They would thrive in the radiant glow of divine light. This was the blessing she yearned for, the promise that kept the garden flourishing, even in darkness. And as they boldly stepped into the world with renewed spirits, she couldn't help but smile. It was not merely a continuation of their journey. It was a divine beginning. Now, dear friends, as you reflect on the tale of Sarah and her community, I urge you, don't let this moment pass without taking action. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive faith stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support is crucial. Comment your reactions and testimonies about this powerful ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation. You need to act now. Only true servants of God understand the importance of spreading His light through these small yet powerful actions. Don't wait even one more second. The time is now.